Didn't blame me, you didn't even do it. You! What happened to me? What happened to me? Okay, we are live with that, and now what I do with the cam? Don't worry about it. Oh wow, it did go really weird. Okay, it's better now though. Better now. Now let's go live. Vertical. Rah! Go live. You were framed? I don't believe it. I don't believe that for a second. Okay. Hello! Hi, YouTube! We are back. We are back. We're here to read more of the Odyssey. We ended up not reading the Odyssey on Sunday. So apologies for that. We ended up just doing an ASMR stream over on Twitch. So, yes, again, if you are here just from YouTube and you want to make sure to catch the entire stream, the whole thing happens over on Twitch. We're just over an hour into the stream right now on Twitch, but just getting going on YouTube because we're about to start reading. So, yeah, if you're interested in more of just like the chit-chat, hangout, and ASMR triggers, make sure to follow on Twitch. Okay. Alright, and hey Banana over on YouTube. Yes, Twitchers. Twitchy little Twitchers. If any of you are able to open up the YouTube stream, that is so wildly helpful. Also, wait. Listen to this, because we hit some milestones recently. We are working on unlocking the YouTube partner program. Hopefully in the not too distant future. We'll see. I mean, this year anyways. And on this channel we had a couple of milestones. One is that we hit 350 subs. Let's go. The first goal that we're aiming for to unlock the first level of the YouTube partner program is 500, and we're at 350. So if any of you have not subbed to the YouTube channel yet, that would be very helpful. But yes, milestone, that's great. The other milestone is that we have clocked just over 1,000 watch hours. And again, the first goal that we're aiming for there is 3,000. So we're just over a third of the way there. So the watch hours can really help if you just watch the live streams from YouTube, even if you've got Twitch open for, like, I know more chatting goes on there, but you don't see the vertical stream? Really? Let me double check. Because I pre-scheduled it, so it should be there. What? Yeah, I don't see it either. Oh, I wonder if I accidentally... Sometimes it says like reuse things and it might be on not public. God damn. Hold on. Let me see if I can change that or if I have to end and start again. Oh yeah. That it's I did the privacy wrong. Damn it. I don't know that I can change it whilst I am already live. Okay. Let me... Damn. Sorry about that, you guys. Because it is streaming, but just it's unlisted. So no one can see it. It's not very helpful. Okay. let me end the stream. And this will not take long, guys. Sorry about that. If you want to check ever, like, what the last quote is, there is a chat command, just exclamation mark last quote will let you know what the last one is. Okay. Let's do this again. Very quickly. Very, very quickly. Public, please. And there we go. Splendid. Now, okay, now that is there, and now let's go live. I don't think there's a first quote. That's me. Okay. I think this is working. Third quote. Yeah, it's not, that's not part of it. No. Nope. Okay, fabulous. Fabulous, looking good. We now are up in both horizontal and vertical. Wonderful. Hello, hello. Yes, so if anyone is able to open up the YouTube stream, it helps so freaking much. It helps so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, now, like I was saying, it has been a little bit since we read the Odyssey, because we ended up not reading on Sundays, so it has been since Thursday. Hi, Odstarva. Hello. Hello, hello. But don't worry, we will be recapping where we're at. You look a lot bigger. Yeah, I don't know what that is, because I've noticed that as well. I'm smaller even in the canvas on YouTube Studio, but when I open it up on my phone, it's a closer crop, which is very annoying, because that's not even how it looks like in the canvas on YouTube Studio. You think it's my strong jaw. My jaw is so magnetic that it's just pulling the crop in closer. Yeah, I think that might be it. How are you feeling? I'm feeling okay, Odstarva. I was dealing with a lot of pain earlier, but feeling better now. Camera adds 10 pounds to my jaw. I know it's hefty, but 10-pound jaw is a lot. Maybe if I start mewing, I can chisel it out. We're about to start chapter 20. You mean overall? Okay, so Luna's just out here calling me chubs, but that's cool. We're about to start book 20. Okay, so let's try to remember where we're at. I beg, okay, let's calm down, everyone. Let's be kind. Hi, Jacqueline. Hello. How are you doing? Getting out of hand. Didn't mean it in that way. Don't ever think that. No, you're very sweet, Luna. Oh my god. Everyone, I know, right? So, just crazy. their doula. I don't have a doula. Oh my god. Okay. Do you want me to shut down the Twitch stream and just stream on YouTube? Because if you're all gonna behave like this, that's what I'll do. That's what I'll do. You're all misbehaving over on Twitch. Okay. Odysseus has returned. Manuel, hello. From China, hello. He's back. Telemachus is back. They have met. Father and son reunion. Nobody else knows that it's Odysseus because Athena has disguised him as a stinky, wrinkly old man. Except for his really old hunting dog recognized him and was so overcome with joy at seeing his old master that he promptly died. So that's great. And one of the old maids in the house, who was his nursemaid, like when Odysseus was a baby, and she nursed him, and so she's known him all his life, and she recognized a scar on his leg that he got from hunting wild boar. And when she recognized him and became overcome with emotion, he promptly grabbed her by the throat and threatened to kill her if she, you know, told anyone who he was or blew his cover. Anger management for Odysseus. Yeah, he's pretty pissed off. The book is wild. The book is wild. Oh, Luna, you're okay. Thanks for clarifying, though. Thank you for clarifying. What else is happening? Oh my god, it's been... Okay. Penelope had a conversation with the old man, aka Odysseus, not knowing it was Odysseus. And Odysseus, as the old man was saying, don't give up hope yet. I have news of your husband. And he will be home soon, like within the moon cycle. And she's like, yeah, well, I know that I've been waiting like 20 years on him, but even though you've come here and you've proved that you've seen my husband, and because you describe him perfectly, and you're telling me that he's arriving soon, I've finally lost hope in this moment, and so I'm gonna be getting married very soon. It is fucked up, yes. Okay. So that's where we're at. Now, the plan is... Oh, right, they took all of the suits of armor down into a storeroom. I'm gonna admit, I'm not 100% sure why. Like, the excuse that Athena said to give was that they were too sooty and needed to be cleaned. Is it that they don't want them to be damaged, that they don't want the suitors to use them to protect themselves? I'm not totally sure. But they were instructed by Athena to remove all of the suits of armor from the dining hall. Telemachus and Odysseus are planning to slaughter them all. Hey Bath Salt, good to see you. We're just getting into story time. Alright. Okay, should we jump in? Oh, let's get the comment pinned in all the chats. If you would like to read along, this is where you can find the book for free. Pin that in. Oh, thank you, Fitch. Thank you. And also, if you're watching the VOD later, it is also written in the description box on YouTube. So, there we go. Wonderful. See what happens when Sean is in here. Dude, we fall apart without Sean. Sea Guns, welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Hello, hello. Okay. Is Floral here? I don't know. She keeps saying things and then disappearing when we try to respond to her, so. Alright. Okay. So, this is the first night back under his own roof because he's been back in Ithaca for, I think, a few days at this point, but he's been sleeping at the hut of the swineherd. And he is still in disguise as an old man, but he is sleeping under his own roof. He's just had a talk with his wife, which, by the way, Athena also put like a hotness spell on Penelope. So she looked absolutely freaking gorgeous. Which is great. She's probably passed out with her phone on her face. Oh, Floral! I thought you meant Penelope. Alright. Glamorous. Yeah, she keeps putting hotness spells on people. Alright. Book 20. Odysseus cannot sleep. Penelope's prayer to Artemis. Several plot points, so I'm not going to read the whole little plot point at the beginning. You have to lurk, you think? You're not feeling well? Banana, I hope you feel better soon. Thank you for the lurk and for popping in and saying hi. You are here. Nat, we keep talking to you and then you've disappeared already. You got the prism. I don't know what that means. Oh, I do know what that means. That's really... Okay, I want to talk to you about it later and I want info. Sorry. My mind instantly went to like the dark crystal, like the shard. Yes, okay, sounds good, Nat. Sounds good. Not the shard, the shard. Have you never seen the dark crystal? Okay. Book 20. Odysseus slept in the cloister upon an undressed bullock's hide, on the top of which he threw several skins of the sheep the suitors had eaten, and Eurynomé threw a cloak over him after he had laid himself down. There, then, Odysseus lay, wakefully brooding upon the way in which he should kill the suitors, and by, the women who had been in the habit of misconducting themselves with them left the house giggling and laughing with one another. This made Odysseus very angry, and he doubted whether to get up and kill every single one of them then and there, or to let them sleep one more and last time with the suitors. His heart growled within him, and as a bitch with puppies growls and shows her teeth when she sees a stranger, so did his heart growl with anger at the evil deeds that were being done. But he beat his breast and said, "Heart, be still. You had worse than this to bear on the day when the terrible Cyclops ate your brave companions. Yet you bore it in silence till your cunning got you safe out of the cave, though you made sure of being killed." Thus he chided with his heart and checked it into endurance, but he tossed about as one who turns a paunch full of blood and fat in front of a hot fire, doing it first on one side and then on the other, that he may get it cooked as soon as possible. Even so did he turn himself about from side to side, thinking all the time how, single-handed as he was, he should contrive to kill so large a body of men as the wicked suitors. But, by and by, a Athena came down from heaven in the likeness of a woman and hovered over his head, saying, "My poor unhappy man, why do you lie awake in this way? This is your house. Your wife is safe inside it, and so is your son, who is just such a young man as any father may be proud of." "Goddess," answered Odysseus, "all that you have said is true, but I am in some doubt as to how I shall be able to kill these wicked suitors single-handed, seeing what a number of them there always are. And there is this further difficulty, which is still more considerable. Supposing that with Zeus's and your assistance I succeed in killing them, I must ask you to consider where I am to escape to from their avengers when it is all over." "For shame," replied Athena. "Why, anyone else would trust a worse ally than myself, even though that ally were only a mortal and less wise than I am. Am I not a goddess? And have I not protected you throughout in all your troubles?" Have you, Athena? Like, have you? I tell you plainly that even though there were 50 bands of men surrounding us and eager to kill us, you should take all their sheep and cattle and drive them away with you. But go to sleep. It is a very bad thing to lie awake all night, and you shall be out of your troubles before long." As she spoke, she shed sleep over his eyes, and then went back to Olympus. While Odysseus was thus yielding himself to a very deep slumber that eased the burden of his sorrows, his admirable wife awoke and, sitting up in her bed, began to cry. When she had relieved herself by weeping, she prayed to Artemis, saying, "Great goddess Artemis, daughter of Zeus, drive an arrow into my heart and slay me, or let some whirlwind snatch me up and bear me through paths of darkness till it drop me into the mouths of overflowing Oceanus, as it did the daughters of Pandareus. The daughters of Pandareus lost their father and mother, for the gods killed them, so they were left orphans. But Aphrodite took care of them and fed them on cheese, honey, and sweet wine. Hera taught them to excel all women in beauty of form and understanding. Artemis gave them an imposing presence, and Athena endowed them with every kind of accomplishment. But one day, when Aphrodite had gone up to Olympus to see Zeus about getting them married, for well does he know both what shall happen and what not happen to everyone, the storm winds came and spirited them away to become handmaids to the dread Erinyes. Even so, I wish that the gods who live in heaven would hide me from mortal sight, or that fair Artemis might strike me, for I would fain go even beneath the sad earth, if I might do so, still looking towards Odysseus only, and without having to yield myself to a worse man than he was. Besides, no matter how much people may grieve by day, they can put up with it so long as they can sleep at night. For when the eyes are closed in slumber, people forget good and ill alike, whereas my misery haunts me even in my dreams. This very night methought there was one lying by my side who was like Odysseus, as he was when he went away with his host, and I rejoiced, for I believed that it was no dream, but the very truth itself." Is she telling a god a story in a prayer? Yep. You would say Hermes had his back more. Hermes popped up a couple times very usefully. Yeah. I don't know that Hermes, like, consistently had his back, though. Athena, I mean, okay, like, if you want to reduce the idea of her looking after him to just, he didn't die. All of his men died, but he didn't. Okay, but he sure suffered a lot. You're a very excellent storyteller. Thank you, Nonanon. Thank you. Oh, hi, Ike. And good night, Ike. Hi, Artax. Welcome. On this, the day broke, but Odysseus heard the sound of her weeping, and it puzzled him, for it seemed as though she already knew him and was by his side. Then he gathered up the cloak and the fleeces on which he had lain, and set them on a seat in the cloister. But he took the bullock's hide out into the open. He lifted up his hands to heaven and prayed, saying, "Father Zeus, since you have seen fit to bring me over land and sea to my own home, after all the afflictions you have laid upon me, give me a sign out of the mouth of some one or other of those who are now waking within the house, and let me have another sign of some kind from outside." Hey, Jacqueline. Hi, Much of Bobacat. Thus did he pray. Zeus heard his prayer and forthwith thundered high up among the clouds from the splendor of Olympus, and Odysseus was glad when he heard it. At the same time, within the house, a miller woman from hard by in the mill room lifted up her voice and gave him another sign. There were 12 miller women whose business it was to grind wheat and barley, which are the staff of life. The others had ground their task and had gone to take their rest, but this one had not yet finished, for she was not so strong as they were. And when she heard the thunder, she stopped grinding and gave the sign to her master. "Father Zeus," said she, "you who rule over heaven and earth, you have thundered from a clear sky without so much as a cloud in it, and this means something for somebody. Grant the prayer, then, of me, your poor servant who calls upon you, and let this be the very last day that the suitors dine in the house of Odysseus. They have worn me out with labor of grinding meal for them, and I hope they may never have another dinner anywhere at all." Damn, girl. Tidy Dark God, thank you for the follow. Welcome. Buddha, good night. Sleep well. Thanks for hanging out. Odysseus was glad when he heard the omens conveyed to him by the woman's speech and by the thunder, for he knew they meant that he should avenge himself on the suitors. Then the other maids in the house rose and lit the fire on the hearth. Telemachus also rose and put on his clothes. He girded his sword about his shoulder, bound his sandals onto his comely feet, and took a doughty spear with a point of sharpened bronze. Then he went to the threshold of the cloister and said to Euryclea, "Nurse, did you make the stranger comfortable, both as regards bed and board, or did you let him shift for himself? For my mother, good woman though she is, has a way of paying great attention to second-rate people and of neglecting others who are in reality much better men." "Do not find fault, child," said Euryclea, "when there is no one to find fault with. The stranger sat and drank his wine as long as he liked. Your mother did ask him if he would take any more bread, and he said that he would not. When he wanted to go to bed, she told the servants to make one for him. But he said he was such a wretched outcast that he would not sleep on a bed and under blankets.
He insisted on having an undressed bullock's hide and some sheepskins put for him in the cloister, and I threw a cloak over him myself.
Then Telemachus went out of the court to the place where the Achaeans were meeting in assembly. He had his spear in his hand, and he was not alone, for his 2 dogs went with him. So Euryclea is the old maid who recognized Odysseus. So she did a great job there. Like, he didn't tell her that Telemachus knows who he is. He just said, don't tell anyone. So, props to her, she kept the secret. Hey, Tidy Dark God, I swear you're the only Storytime ASMR currently streaming. It's such a difference from all the overly sexualized ASMR. I am glad you're finding it comfy and that you're enjoying it. Yeah, we usually read a few times a week here, so if that's something you're interested in, yeah, it is. It's kind of what we do, yeah. And if you're interested in finding, I'm just newly getting started on YouTube, just the past few months, but like, if you want to check out some past VODs, if you want some reading content when I'm not online, the first of those links is reading. The second one is other ASMR triggers. But yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Nice. Okay. Of course, it's lovely to have you here. But Euryclea called the maids and said,
"Come, wake up. Set about sweeping the cloisters and sprinkling them with water to lay the dust. Put the covers on the seats. Wipe down the tables, some of you, with a wet sponge. Clean out the mixing jugs and the cups, and go for water from the fountain at once. The suitors will be here directly. They will be here early, for it is a feast day."
Thus did she speak, and they did even as she had said. 20 of them went to the fountain for water, and the others set themselves busily to work about the house. The men who were in attendance on the suitors also came up and began chopping firewood. By and by, the women returned from the mountain, and the swineherd came after them with the 3 best pigs he could pick out. These he let feed about the premises, and then he said good-humoredly to Odysseus, "Stranger, are the suitors treating you any better now, or are they as insolent as ever?"
"May heaven," answered Odysseus, "requite to them the wickedness with which they deal high-handedly in another man's house, without any sense of shame."
So remember that Odysseus is still in the guise of an old man here. It's a cozy place here. Aw, Kish. I'm glad you think so. Isn't everyday feast day for them? This is extra feast day. Yeah. Thus did they converse. Meanwhile, Melanthius the goatherd came up, for he too was bringing in his best goats for the suitors' dinner. And he had 2 sheepherds. No, why did I say it like that? Okay. And he had 2 shepherds with him. They tied the goats up under the gatehouse, and then Melanthius began jibing at Odysseus. "Are you still here, stranger?" said he, "to pester people by begging about the house? Why can you not go elsewhere? You and I shall not come to an understanding before we have given each other a taste of our fists. You beg without any sense of decency. Are there not feasts elsewhere among the Achaeans, as well as here?" Odysseus made no answer, but bowed his head and brooded. Then a 3rd man, Philoetius, joined them, who was bringing in a barren heifer and some goats. These were brought over by the boatmen, who are there to take people over when anyone comes to them. So Philoetius made his heifer and his goats secure under the gatehouse, and then went up to the swineherd. "Oh, who, swineherd?" said he. Is this stranger that has lately come here? Is he one of your men? What is his family? Where does he come from? Poor fellow, he looks as if he had been some great man, but the gods give sorrow to whom they will, even to kings if it so pleases them. As he spoke, he went up to Odysseus and saluted him with his right hand. Good day to you, father stranger, said he. You seem to be very poorly off now, but I hope you will have better times by and by. Father Zeus, of all gods you are the most malicious. We are your own children, yet you show us no mercy in all our misery and afflictions. A sweat came over me when I saw this man, and my eyes filled with tears, for he reminds me of Odysseus, who I fear is going about in just such rags as this man's are, if indeed he is still among the living. If he is already dead and in the house of Hades, then, alas, for my good master, who made me his stockman when I was quite young among the Cephalenians, and now his cattle are countless. No one could have done better with them than I have, for they have bred like ears of corn. Nevertheless, I have to keep bringing them in for others to eat, who take no heed to his son, though he is in the house, and fear not the wrath of heaven, but are already eager to divide Odysseus's property among them, because he has been away so long. Oh, I've often thought, only it would not be right while his son is living, of going off with the cattle to some foreign country. Bad as that would be, it is still harder to stay here and be ill-treated about other people's herds. My position is intolerable, and I should long since have run away and put myself under the protection of some other chief. Only that I believe my poor master will yet return and send all these suitors flying out of the house. But it's such a long, soliloquy for him to just, walk up to this stranger and say all this. Hi, blah, blah. How many bets for you to tell me you have a full head of hair and it's not thinning at all? Oh no. Up to you. Any number. But good for the stockman. He may not know that he's talking to Odysseus, but Odysseus is gonna remember this. The swineherd is gonna be treated with favor. The stockman gonna be treated with favor. That fucking shepherd. His job does not look very secure right now. He's fucked. You're back. Welcome back, Jacqueline. Welcome back.
Stockman, answered Odysseus, you seem to be a very well-disposed person, and I can see that you are a man of sense. Therefore, I will tell you, and will confirm my words by an oath. No, I will confirm my words with an oath. By Zeus, the chief of all gods, and by that hearth of Odysseus to which I am now come, Odysseus shall return before you leave this place. And if you are so minded, you shall see him killing the suitors who are now masters here.
Blah, blah. Thank you for the 100 biddies. Alright. Blah, blah. I have something very important to tell you. Okay, listen up. You have a full head of hair, and it's not thinning at all. Okay? Remember that. You have a full head of hair. It's not thinning at all. Is Odysseus still disguised as being bald? Odysseus is bald, yes. In his disguise, yes. Oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with being bald at all. Not at all. That's just what Blah asked for. But, totally fine. to be bald as well. Do you live in Yakima? I don't know where that is, actually. No, I live in Canada. The amount of hair is unsettling. Whose hair? Whose hair is unsettling? Thank you, I agree. Hell yeah. There you go. Yes, Odysseus is currently disguised as, like, Athena made him bald, gave him a lot of wrinkles, gave him, like, glaucoma. Ardax, thank you for the 200 biddies. Thank you. Toon time, welcome in. Your room is cozy and chill. I'm so glad you think so. It is very cozy in here. Welcome in. It's good to have you here. Floral, thank you for the 10 biddies. Thank you, thank you. You said it wrong? Well, that's okay. I'm not Jacqueline, I'm not sure which place you were meaning to say. But yeah, no, I live in Canada. I live on the west coast of Canada. DJ, thank you for the 100 biddies. Thank you. Okay. If Zeus were to bring this to pass, replied the stockman, you should see how I would do my very utmost to help him. And in like manner, Eumaeus prayed that Odysseus might return home. Eumaeus is the swineherd. Thus did they converse. Meanwhile, the suitors were hatching a plot to murder Telemachus. But a bird flew near them on their left hand, an eagle with a dove in its talons. On this, Amphinomus said, "Oh, my friends, this plot of ours to murder Telemachus will not succeed. Let us go to dinner instead." The others assented, so they went inside and laid their cloaks on the benches and seats. They sacrificed the sheep, goats, pigs, and the heifer, and when the inward meats were cooked, they served them round. They mixed the wine in the mixing bowls, and the swineherd gave every man his cup, while Philoetius handed round the bread in the bread baskets, and Melanthius poured them out their wine. Then they laid their hands upon the good things that were before them. Telemachus purposely made Odysseus sit in the part of the cloister that was paved with stone. They gave him a shabby-looking seat at a little table to himself, and had his portion of the inward meats brought to him, with his wine in a gold cup. "Sit there," said he, "and drink your wine among the great people. I will put a stop to the jibes and blows of the suitors, for this is no public house, but belongs to Odysseus, and has passed from him to me. Therefore, suitors, keep your hands and your tongues to yourselves, or there will be mischief." The suitors bit their lips and marveled at the boldness of his speech. Then Antinous said, "We do not like such language, but we will put up with it, for Telemachus is threatening us in good earnest." Mitch, welcome in. Thank you for the raid. Oh my goodness, welcome in, raiders. Mitch, how was your stream tonight? You guys, make sure you are following Mitch Matched. Mitch is an awesome ASMR streamer. It is super cozy and chill over there. Awesome conversations happening over there. Mitch does YouTube content as well, and is just super kind and genuine, and does some awesome creative like D&D themed ASMR triggers. Just make sure you're dropping a follow. Soft-spoken coworker time. Yes, let's go soft-spoken ASMR. Welcome in, everyone. If you're new here, I'm Faolkor. We do a mixture here of traditional ASMR and also reading content. We are currently reading the Odyssey. So that is what you have come into. We'll probably read a couple of chapters from this, and then we will turn back on ASMR triggers and do more of that. But yeah, if you'd like some cozy story time, feel free to get snuggled in. If you're at all familiar with the story of the Odyssey, Odysseus is back on Ithaca. He's in disguise as an old man. His son Telemachus knows who he is. They're planning on killing all the suitors that are disrespecting his home. So shit's about to go down. Hi Lola. Jonathan, hi. Force Fed Soup, hello, hello. Hi Slipknot, man, good to see you. Alright, so that's where we're at. Your eyes are active. Oh my gosh, Mitch, feel free to raid and fade. Thank you so much for the raid. Sleep well, sleep well. Good night, good night. Hardcore lit, yep. Okay. You're gonna lurk and sleep? Okay, sounds good, Lola. Sleep well. The suitors bit their lips and marveled at the boldness of his speech. Then Antinous said, "We do not like such language, but we will put up with it. For Telemachus is threatening us in good earnest. If Zeus had led us, we should have put a stop to his brave talk ere now." Thus spoke Antinous, but Telemachus heeded him not. Meanwhile, the heralds were bringing the holy hecatomb through the city, and the Achaeans gathered under the shady grove of Apollo. Then they roasted the outer meat, drew it off the spits, gave every man his portion, and feasted to their heart's content. Those who waited at the table gave Odysseus exactly the same portion as the others had, for Telemachus had told them to do so. But Athena would not let the suitors, for one moment, drop their insolence, for she wanted Odysseus to become still more bitter against them. Now, there happened to be among them a ribald fellow, whose name was Ctesippus. Let me double check that. It starts with a C-T. Ctesippus? Let me make sure I've got... Yeah, okay. The whole CT thing is kind of interesting. Oh, it's not in here. Alright, well, you know, Ctesippus, I think, seems fine. Whose name was Ctesippus, and who came from Sami. This man, confident in his great wealth, was paying court to the wife of Odysseus, and said to the suitors, "Hear what I have to say. The stranger has already had as large a portion as anyone else. This is well, for it is not right nor reasonable to ill-treat any guest of Telemachus who comes here. I will, however, make him a present on my own account, that he may have something to give to the bathwoman, or to some other of Odysseus's servants." Hi, New Zealand. New Zealand G. Thank you. Thank you so much. And SLE Photo. Hi, DJ over on the YouTubes. Thank you, thank you. Athena is a class A shit stirrer. Yeah. Yep. As he spoke, he picked up a heifer's foot from the meat basket in which it lay, and threw it at Odysseus. But Odysseus turned his head a little aside and avoided it, smiling grimly Sardinian fashion as he did so, and it hit the wall, not him. On this, Telemachus spoke fiercely to Ctesippus. "It is a good thing for you," said he, that the stranger turned his head so that you missed him. If you had hit him, I should have run you through with my spear, and your father would have had to see about getting you buried rather than married in this house. So let me have no more unseemly behavior from any of you, for I am grown up now to the knowledge of good and evil, and understand what is going on, instead of being the child that I have been heretofore. I have long seen you killing my sheep, and making free with my corn and wine. I have put up with this, for one man is no match for many. But do me no further violence. Still, if you wish to kill me, kill me. I would far rather die than see such disgraceful scenes day after day, guests insulted, and men dragging the women servants about the house in an unseemly way. They all held their peace till at last Agelaus. Like, you haven't been there the whole time? I'm sorry. Thank you. Agelaus. Okay, so I was saying it wrong. Agelaus. Okay. They all held their peace till at last Agelaus, son of Damastor, said, "No one should take offense at what has just been said, nor gainsay it, for it is quite reasonable. Leave off, therefore, ill-treating the stranger, or anyone else of the servants who are about the house. I would say, however, a friendly word to Telemachus and his mother, which I trust may commend itself to both. As long, I would say, as you had ground for hoping that Odysseus would one day come home, no one could complain of your waiting and suffering the suitors to be in your house. It would have been better that he should have returned, but it is now sufficiently clear that he will never do so. Therefore, talk all this quietly over with your mother, and tell her to marry the best man, and the one who makes her the most advantageous offer. Thus you will yourself be able to manage your own inheritance, and to eat and drink in peace, while your mother will look after some other man's house, not yours." To this Telemachus answered, "By Zeus, Agelaus, and by the sorrows of my unhappy father, who has either perished far from Ithaca, or is wandering in some distant land, I throw no obstacles in the way of my mother's marriage. But on the contrary, I urge her to choose whomsoever she will, and I will give her numberless gifts into the bargain. But I dare not insist point blank that she shall leave the house against her own wishes. Heaven forbid that I should do that." Athena now made the suitors fall to laughing immoderately, and set their wits wandering. But they were laughing with a forced laughter. Their meat became smeared with blood, their eyes filled with tears, and their hearts were heavy with forebodings. Theoclymenus saw this and said, "Unhappy man, what is it that ails you? Is a shroud of darkness drawn over you from head to foot? Your cheeks are wet with tears. The air is alive with wailing voices. The walls and roof beams drip blood. The gate of the cloisters and the court beyond them are full of ghosts trooping down into the night of hell. The sun is blotted out of heaven, and a blighting gloom is over all the land." Thus did he speak, and they all of them laughed heartily. Eurymachus then said, "This stranger who has lately come here has lost his senses. Servants, turn him out into the streets, since he finds it so dark here." Oh yeah, Theoclymenus is the one that caught a ride home with Telemachus, right? And he was like, "I am a seer. I can tell the future," etc. But Theoclymenus said, "Eurymachus, you need not send anyone with me. I have eyes and ears, and a pair of feet of my own. to say nothing of an understanding mind. I will take these out of the house with me, for I see mischief overhanging you, from which not one of you men who are insulting people and plotting ill deeds in the house of Odysseus will be able to escape. He left the house as he spoke, and went back to Piraeus. Piraeus? Piraeus? A seer of sorts, yeah. Piraeus. He left the house as he spoke, and went back to Piraeus, who gave him welcome. But the suitors kept looking at one another and provoking Telemachus by laughing at the strangers. One insolent fellow said to him, "Telemachus, you are not happy in your guests. First you have this importunate tramp who comes begging bread and wine and has no skill for work or for hard fighting, but is perfectly useless. Now there is another fellow who is setting himself up as a prophet. Let me persuade you, for it will be much better to put them on board ship and send them off to the Sicels. Sickles? Sicels? Oh, I don't see it in the list. I have no idea how to say this. Oh. That's the Indo-European tribe who inhabited eastern Sicily during... Okay, so Sicilians? Sicels? I don't know how to pronounce it, though. Cool. That's very interesting. Oh, okay, primary pronunciation sickles. Secondary sicels. Okay. Sicels. Okay. Sorry, I had to look that up. Okay. It'd be much better to put them on board ship and send them off to the Sicels to sell them for what they will bring. Telemachus gave him no heed, but sat silently watching his father, expecting every moment that he would begin his attack upon the suitors. Meanwhile, the daughter of Icarius, wise Penelope, had a rich seat placed for her facing the court and cloisters, so that she could hear what everyone was saying. The dinner indeed had been prepared amid much merriment. It had been both good and abundant, for they had sacrificed many victims. That's a crazy way to talk about the dinner. But the supper was yet to come, and nothing can be conceived more gruesome than the meal which a goddess and a brave man were soon to lay before them, for they had brought their doom upon themselves. End of chapter. Oh my god. Yeah, Athena is definitely like stirring the pot and trying to make it as like dramatic as possible. Like, she wants this to be like a big like reality TV style slaughterhouse. Like, it's gotta be all the drama. There's no shortage of tricksy words and names in the book. Yeah, I feel like I've gotten a bit better at guessing as I've read through this. But I just, am not super familiar with the rules of pronunciation for Greek names. So, yeah, always good to double check. Okay, shall we jump into the next book? Book 21. Okay. Athena now put it in Penelope's mind to make the suitors try their skill with the bow and with the iron axes in contest among themselves as a means of bringing about their destruction. She went upstairs and got the storeroom key, which was made of bronze and had a handle of ivory. She then went with her maidens into the storeroom at the end of the house, where her husband's treasures of gold, bronze, and wrought iron were kept, and where was also his bow, and the quiver full of deadly arrows that had been given him by a friend whom he had met in Lacedaemon, Iphitus, the son of Eurytus. The two fell in with one another in Messene, at the house of Ortilochus, where Odysseus was staying in order to recover a debt that was owing from the whole people, for the Messenians had carried off 300 sheep from Ithaca and had sailed away with them and with their shepherds. In quest of these, Odysseus took a long journey, while still quite young, for his father and the other chieftains sent him on a mission to recover them. Iphitus had gone there also to try and get back 12 brood mares that he had lost, and the mule foals that were running with them. These mares were the death of him in the end, for when he went to the house of Zeus's son, mighty Heracles, who performed such prodigies of valor, Heracles, to his shame, killed him, though he was his guest, for he feared not heaven's revenge, nor yet respected his own table, which he had set before Iphitus, but killed him in spite of everything, and kept the mares himself. It was when claiming these that Iphitus met Odysseus, and gave him the bow which mighty Eurytus had been used to carry, and which on his death had been left by him to his son. Odysseus gave him in return a sword and a spear, and this was the beginning of a fast friendship, although they never waited at one another's houses, for Zeus's son Heracles killed Iphitus ere they could do so. This bow, then, given him by Iphitus, had not been taken with him by Odysseus when he sailed for Troy. He had used it so long as he had been at home, but he had left it behind as having been a keepsake from a valued friend. Hi, Nick. Fal's book reading is just the kind of warm blanket and steaming hot chocolate feel I need to fall into deep sleep. Nick, that's so sweet. Sleep well, Nick. Hi, Rourke. You blamed Kevin Sorbo. Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair. Penelope presently reached the oak threshold of the storeroom. The carpenter had planed this duly and had drawn a line on it so as to get it quite straight. He had then set the doorposts into it and hung the doors. She loosed the strap from the handle of the door, put in the key, and drove it straight home to shoot back the bolts that held the doors. These flew open with a noise like a bull bellowing in a meadow, and Penelope stepped upon the raised platform, where the chest stood in which the fair linen and clothes were laid by, along with fragrant herbs. Reaching thence, she took down the bow with its bow case from the peg on which it hung. She sat down with it on her knees, weeping bitterly as she took the bow out of its case, and when her tears had relieved her, she went to the cloister where the suitors were, carrying the bow and the quiver with the many deadly arrows that were inside it. Along with her came her maidens, bearing a chest that contained much iron and bronze, which her husband had won as prizes. When she reached the suitors, she stood by one of the bearing posts, supporting the roof of the cloister, holding a veil before her face, and with a maid on either side of her. Oh man. Okay. His legendary bow has been revealed. Heck yeah. Okay. Then she said, "Listen to me, you suitors, who persist in abusing the hospitality of this house because its owner has been long absent, and without of the other pretext than that you want to marry me. This, then, being the prize that you are contending for, I will bring out the mighty bow of Odysseus, and whomsoever of you shall string it most easily, and send his arrow through each one of 12 axes, him will I follow, and quit this house of my lawful husband, so goodly, and so abounding in wealth. But even so I doubt not that I shall remember it in my dreams." As she spoke, she told Eumaeus to set the bow and the pieces of iron before the suitors, and Eumaeus wept as he took them to do as she had bidden him. Hard by, the stockman wept also when he saw his master's bow, but Antinous scolded them. "You country louts," said he, "silly simpletons, why should you add to the sorrows of your mistress by crying in this way? She has enough to grieve her in the loss of her husband. Sit still, therefore, and eat your dinners in silence, or go outside if you want to cry, and leave the bow behind you. We suitors shall have to contend for it with might and main, for we shall find it no light matter to string such a bow as this is. There is not a man of us all who is such another as Odysseus, for I have seen him and remember him, though I was then only a child." This was what he said, but all the time he was expecting to be able to string the bow and shoot through the iron, whereas in fact he was to be the first that should taste of the arrows from the hands of Odysseus, whom he was dishonoring in his own house, egging the others on to do so also. Then Telemachus spoke. "Great heavens," he exclaimed, "Zeus must have robbed me of my senses. Here is my dear and excellent mother, saying she will quit this house and marry again, yet I am laughing and enjoying myself as though there were nothing happening. But, suitors, as the contest has been agreed upon, let it go forward. It is for a woman whose peer is not to be found in Pylos, Argos, or Mycenae, nor yet in Ithaca, nor on the mainland. You know this as well as I do. What need have I to speak in praise of my mother? Come on, then, make no excuses for delay, but let us see whether you can string the bow or no. I too will make trial of it, for if I can string it and shoot through the iron, I shall not suffer my mother to quit this house with a stranger, not if I can win the prizes which my father won before me." Hi, Alphamisa. Hello. Aw, thank you. Thank you. How you doing? This thing is like +3 to hit and damage, strength 18 to draw it. Yeah. Yep. As he spoke, he sprang from his seat, threw his crimson cloak from him, and took his sword from his shoulder. First, he set the axes in a row, in a long groove which he had dug for them, and had made straight by line. Then he stamped the earth tight round them, and everyone was surprised when they saw him set them up so orderly, though he had never seen anything of the kind before. This done, he went on to the pavement to make trial of the bow. Thrice did he tug at it, trying with all his might to draw the string, and thrice he had to leave off, though he had hoped to string the bow and shoot through the iron. He was trying for the 4th time, and would have strung it had not Odysseus made a sign to check him in spite of all his eagerness. So he said, "Alas, I shall either be always feeble and of no prowess, or I am too young, and have not yet reached my full strength, so as to be able to hold my own if anyone attacks me. You others, therefore, who are stronger than I, make trial of the bow and get this contest settled. On this, he put the bow down, letting it lean against the door that led into the house, with the arrow standing against the top of the bow. Then he sat down on the seat from which he had risen, and Antinous said, "Come on, each of you in his turn, going towards the right from the place at which the cupbearer begins when he is handing round the wine." The rest agreed, and Leodes, son of Enops, was the first to rise. He was sacrificial priest to the suitors, and sat in the corner near the mixing bowl. He was the only man who hated their evil deeds and was indignant with the others. He was now the first to take the bow and arrow, so he went on to the pavement to make his trial. But he could not string the bow, for his hands were weak and unused to hard work. They therefore soon grew tired, and he said to the suitors, "My friends, I cannot string it. Let another have it. This bow shall take the life and soul out of many a chief among us, for it is better to die than to live after having missed the prize that we have so long striven for, and which has brought us so long together. Some one of us is even now hoping and praying that he may marry Penelope, but when he has seen this bow and tried it, let him woo and make bridal offerings to some other woman, and let Penelope marry whoever makes her the best offer, and whose lot it is to win her." On this he put the bow down, letting it lean against the door, with the arrow standing against the tip of the bow. Then he took his seat again, on the seat from which he had risen, and Antinous rebuked him, saying, "Leodes, what are you talking about? Your words are monstrous and intolerable. It makes me angry to listen to you. Shall then this bow take the life of many a chief among us, merely because you cannot bend it yourself? True, you were not born to be an archer, but there are others who will soon string it." Then he said to Melanthius, the goatherd, "Look sharp. Light a fire in the court and set a seat hard by with a sheepskin on it. Bring us also a large ball of lard, from what they have in the house. Let us warm the bow and grease it. We will then make trial of it again, and bring the contest to an end." I don't know, that sounds like cheating. I don't know. Melanthius lit the fire, and set a seat covered with sheepskins beside it. He also brought a great ball of lard from what they had in the house, and the suitors warmed the bow and again made trial of it, but they were none of them nearly strong enough to string it. Nevertheless, there still remained Antinous and Eurymachus, who were the ringleaders among the suitors and much the foremost among them all. Then the swineherd and the stockman left the cloisters together, and Odysseus followed them. When they had got outside the gates and the outer yard, Odysseus said to them quietly, "Stockman, and you, swineherd, I have something in my mind which I am in doubt whether to say or no, but I think I will say it. What manner of men would you be to stand by Odysseus, if some god should bring him back here all of a sudden? Say which you are disposed to do, to side with the suitors, or with Odysseus?" "Father Zeus," answered the stockman, "would indeed that you might so ordain it. If some god were but to bring Odysseus back, you should see with what might and main I would fight for him." "Badger Master, not another bad dream. Oh no." "Well, get cozy, and let's see if we can distract you from your bad dream." In like words, Eumaeus prayed to all the gods that Odysseus might return. When, therefore, he saw for certain what mind they were of, Odysseus said, "It is I.
Odysseus, who am here. I have suffered much, but at last, in the 20th year, I am come back to my own country. I find that you two alone of all my servants are glad that I should do so, for I have not heard any of the others praying for my return. To you two, therefore, will I unfold the truth, as it shall be. If heaven shall deliver the suitors into my hands, I will find wives for both of you, will give you house and holding close to my own, and you shall be to me as though you were brothers and friends of Telemachus. I will now give you convincing proofs that you may know me and be assured. See, here is the scar from the boar's tooth that ripped me when I was out hunting on Mount Parnassus with the sons of Autolycus. As he spoke, he drew his rags aside from the great scar, and when they had examined it thoroughly, they both of them wept about Odysseus, threw their arms around him, and kissed his head and shoulders, while Odysseus kissed their hands and faces in return. The sun would have gone down upon their mourning if Odysseus had not checked them and said, "Cease their weeping, lest someone should come outside and see us, and tell those who are within. When you go in, do so separately, not both together. I will go first, and do you follow afterwards. Let this, moreover, be the token between us. The suitors will all of them try to prevent me from getting hold of the bow and quiver. Do you, therefore, Eumaeus, place it in my hands when you are carrying it about, and tell the women to close the doors of their apartment. If they hear any groaning or uproar, as of men fighting about the house, they must not come out. They must keep quiet and stay where they are at their work. And I charge you, Philoetius, to make fast the doors of the outer court, and to bind them securely at once." When he had thus spoken, he went back to the house and took the seat that he had left. Presently, his two servants followed him inside. At this moment, the bow was in the hands of Eurymachus, who was warming it by the fire. But even so, he could not string it, and he was greatly grieved. He heaved a deep sigh and said, "I grieve for myself and for us all. I grieve that I shall have to forego the marriage, but I do not care nearly so much about this, for there are plenty of other women in Ithaca and elsewhere. What I feel most is the fact of our being so inferior to Odysseus in strength that we cannot string his bow. This will disgrace us in the eyes of those who are yet unborn." "It shall not be so, Eurymachus," said Antinous, "and you know it yourself. Today is the feast of Apollo throughout all the land. Who can string a bow on such a day as this? Put it on one side. As for the axes, they can stay where they are, for no one is likely to come to the house and take them away. Let the cupbearer go round with his cups, that we may make our drink offerings and drop this matter of the bow. We will tell Melanthius to bring us in some goats tomorrow, the best he has. We can then offer thigh bones to Apollo, the mighty archer, and again make trial of the bow, so as to bring the contest to an end." Oh, how convenient. After everyone tries the bow and no one can do it, he's like, "Well, of course we couldn't. It's obviously because it's a feast day." Oh my god. So is the idea that the axes are standing straight up for the arrow to just like hit the axe blade and make it swing? So it wouldn't like go through them, right? It would just like turn all of the axes in a row. Oh, the axe blades have holes in them and the arrow has to go through the holes? In a curve? Okay. Okay, so that's pretty crazy.
And they can't even get it strung, not even by warming it by the fire and greasing it up. There's a Mythbusters episode of, I mean, it's a, I definitely am not expecting this to be a real thing that could happen. The rest approved his words, and thereon men servants poured water over the hands of the guests, while pages filled the mixing bowls with wine and water and handed it round, after giving every man his drink offering. Then, when they had made their offerings and had drunk each as much as he desired, Odysseus craftily said, "Suitors of the illustrious queen, listen that I may speak, even as I am minded. I appeal more especially to Eurymachus, and to Antinous, who has just spoken with so much reason. Cease shooting for the present and leave the matter to the gods, but in the morning let heaven give victory to whom it will. For the moment, however, give me the bow, that I may prove the power of my hands among you all, and see whether I still have as much strength as I used to have, or whether travel and neglect have made an end of it." This made them all very angry, for they feared he might string the bow. Antinous therefore rebuked him fiercely, saying, "Wretched creature, you have not so much as a grain of sense in your whole body. You ought to think yourself lucky in being allowed to dine unharmed among your betters, without having any smaller portion served you than we others have had, and in being allowed to hear our conversation. No other beggar or stranger has been allowed to hear what we say among ourselves. The wine must have been doing you a mischief, as it does with all those who drink moderately. It was wine that inflamed the centaur, Eurytion, who was staying with Pirithous among the Lapithae. When the wine had got into his head, he went mad and did ill deeds about the house of Pirithous. This angered the heroes who were there assembled, so they rushed at him and cut off his ears and nostrils. Then they dragged him through the doorway out of the house, so he went away, crazed, and bore the burden of his crime, bereft of understanding. Henceforth, therefore, there was war between mankind and the centaurs, but he brought it upon himself through his own drunkenness. In like manner, I can tell you that it will go hardly with you if you string the bow. You will find no mercy from anyone here, for we shall at once ship you off to King Aeacus, who kills everyone that comes near him. You will never get away alive. So drink and keep quiet, without getting into a quarrel with men younger than yourself." Penelope then spoke to him. "Hey, Overcoo. Hello, hello." Okay. Penelope then spoke to him. "Antinous," said she, "it is not right that you should ill-treat any guest of Telemachus who comes to this house. If the stranger should prove strong enough to string the mighty bow of Odysseus, can you suppose that he would take me home with him and make me his wife? Even if the man himself can have no such idea in his mind, none of you need let that disturb his feasting. It would be out of all reason." "Queen Penelope," answered Eurymachus, "we do not suppose that this man will take you away with him. It is impossible. But we are afraid lest some of the baser sort, men or women among the Achaeans, should go gossiping about and say, 'These suitors are a feeble folk. They are paying court to the wife of a brave man whose bow not one of them was able to string, and yet a beggarly tramp who came to the house strung it at once and sent an arrow through the iron.' This is what will be said, and it will be a scandal against us." "Eurymachus," Penelope answered, "people who persist in eating up the estate of a great chieftain and dishonoring his house must not expect others to think well of them." "Damn, girl." "True. True. Why then should you mind if men talk as you think they will? This stranger is strong and well built. He says, moreover, that he is of noble birth. Give him the bow, and let us see whether he can string it or no. I say, and it shall surely be, that if Apollo vouchsafes him the glory of stringing it, I will give him a cloak and a shirt of good wear, with a javelin to keep off dogs and robbers, and a sharp sword. I will also give him sandals, and will see him sent safely wherever he wants to go. Then Telemachus said, Mother, I am the only man, either in Ithaca or in the islands that are over against Elis, who has the right to let anyone have the bow, or to refuse it. No one shall force me one way or the other, not even though I choose to make the stranger a present of the bow outright, and let him take it away with him. Go then within the house, and busy yourself with your daily duties, your loom, your distaff, and the ordering of your servants. This bow is a man's matter, and mine above all others, for it is I who am master here. Telemachus, bro, let your mom burn the suitors. She has the right. Not the man bow. She went wondering back into the house and laid her son's saying in her heart. Then going upstairs with her... Am I gonna sneeze? No? Okay. Sorry. False alarm. Then going upstairs with her handmaids into her room, she mourned her dear husband till Athena sent sweet sleep over her eyelids. The swineherd now took up the bow, and was for taking it to Odysseus, but the suitors clamored at him from all parts of the cloisters, and one of them said, You idiot! Where are you taking the bow to? Are you out of your wits? If Apollo and the other gods will grant our prayer, your own boarhound shall get you into some quiet little place and worry you to death. Eumaeus was frightened at the outcry they all raised, so he put the bow down then and there. But Telemachus shouted out at him from the other side of the cloisters and threatened him, saying, Father Eumaeus, bring the bow on in spite of them, or young as I am, I will pelt you with stones back to the country, for I am the better man of the two. I wish I was as much stronger than all the other suitors in the house as I am than you. I would soon send some of them off, sick and sorry, for they mean mischief. Thus did he speak, and they all of them laughed heartily, which put them in a better humor with Telemachus. So Eumaeus brought the bow on and placed it in the hands of Odysseus. When he had done this, he called Euryclea apart and said to her, Euryclea, oh wait, this is Eumaeus talking. Euryclea, Telemachus says you are to close the doors of the women's apartments. If they hear any groaning or uproar, as of men fighting about the house, they are not to come out, but are to keep quiet and stay where they are at their work. Euryclea did as she was told, and closed the doors of the women's apartments. Meanwhile, Philetius... Sorry, I've already forgotten how to say this. Philetius? Philotius. Meanwhile, Philotius slipped quietly out and made fast the gates of the outer court. There was a ship's cable of Byblis fiber laying in the gatehouse. Okay, I need to... What the heck is Byblis? An ancient city of Lebanon? Well, that can't be right. Byblos fiber. Byblos. What? It's a grain? Okay. Alright. Interesting. Maybe the type of rope is named after the city that made it. Yeah, that's possible. Yeah. Okay. Meanwhile, Philotius slipped quietly out and made fast the gates of the outer court. There was a ship's cable of bulbous fibre lying in the gatehouse, so he made the gates fast with it, and then came in again, resuming the seat that he had left and keeping an eye on Odysseus, who had now got the bow in his hands and was turning it every way about and proving it all over to see whether the worms had been eating into its two horns during his absence. Then would one turn towards his neighbor, saying, "This is like some tricky old bow fancier. Either he's got one like it at home, or he wants to make one in such workmanlike style does the old vagabond handle it." Another said, "Well, I hope he may be no more successful in other things than he's likely to be in stringing this bow." But Odysseus, when he had taken it up and examined it all over, strung it as easily as a skilled bard strings a new peg of his lyre and makes the twisted gut fast at both ends. Then he took it in his right hand to prove the string, and it sang sweetly under his touch like the twittering of a swallow. The suitors were dismayed and turned colors as they heard it. At that moment, moreover, Zeus thundered loudly as a sign, and the heart of Odysseus rejoiced as he heard the omen that the son of scheming Cronus had sent him. He took an arrow that was lying upon the table, for those which the Achaeans were so shortly about to taste were all inside the quiver. He laid it on the centerpiece of the bow and drew the notch of the arrow and the string toward him, still seated on his seat. When he had taken aim, he let fly, and his arrow pierced every one of the handle holes of the axes, from the first onwards, till it had gone right through them and into the outer courtyard. Then he said to Telemachus, "Your guest has not disgraced you, Telemachus. I did not miss what I aimed at, and I was not long in stringing my bow. I am still strong, and not as the suitors twit me with being. Now, however, it is time for the Achaeans to prepare supper while there is still daylight, and then otherwise to disport themselves with song and dance, which are the crowning ornaments of a banquet." As he spoke, he made a sign with his eyebrows, and Telemachus girded on his sword, grasped his spear, and stood armed beside his father's seat. End of chapter. Oh my god. Do we read the next chapter? I think the next chapter, like, shit really goes down. Do we want to read it? Yeah. Artax, thank you for the biddies. Thank you, thank you. Let me double check. Okay, there are 24 books in total, and we're about to start 22. Chapter 22. So, we could read one more and then finish it next stream with just like 2 chapters to read. Does that sound okay? Yeah, because that feels like a really like hype moment to stop. Like, we can't stop there. They're about to get their Hollywood moment, yeah. Okay. Book 22. Then Odysseus tore off his rags and sprang onto the broad pavement with his bow and his quiver full of arrows. He shed the arrows onto the ground at his feet and said, "The mighty contest is at an end. I will now see whether Apollo will vouchsafe it to me to hit another mark which no man has yet hit." On this, he aimed a deadly arrow at Antinous, who was about to take up a two-handled gold cup to drink his wine, and already had it in his hands. He had no thought of death. Who amongst all the revelers would think that one man, however brave, would stand alone among so many and kill him? The arrow struck Antinous in the throat, and the point went clean through his neck, so that he fell over, and the cup dropped from his hand, while a thick stream of blood gushed from his nostrils. He kicked the table from him and upset the things on it, so that the bread and roasted meats were all soiled as they fell over onto the ground. The suitors were in an uproar when they saw that a man had been hit. They sprang in dismay, one and all of them, from their seats, and looked everywhere towards the walls. But there was neither shield nor spear, and they rebuked Odysseus very angrily. "Stranger," said they, "you shall pay for shooting people in this way. You shall see no other contest. You are a doomed man. He whom you have slain was the foremost youth in Ithaca, and the vultures will devour you for having killed him." Thus they spoke, for they thought that he had killed Antinous by mistake, and did not perceive that death was hanging over the head of every one of them. But Odysseus glared at them and said, "Dogs, do you think that I should not come back from Troy? You have wasted my substance, have forced my women servants to lie with you, and have wooed my wife while I was still living. You have feared neither God nor man, and now you shall die." They turned pale with fear as he spoke, and every man looked round about to see whither he might fly for safety. But Eurymachus alone spoke. "If you are Odysseus," said he, "then what you have said is just. We have done much wrong on your lands and in your house, but Antinous, who was the head and front of the offending, lies low already. It was all his doing. It was not that he wanted to marry Penelope. He did not so much care about that. What he wanted was something quite different, and Zeus has not vouchsafed it to him. He wanted to kill your son and be chief man in Ithaca. Now, therefore, that he has met the death which was his due, spare the lives of your people. We will make everything good among ourselves and pay you in full for all that we have eaten and drunk. Each one of us shall pay you a fine worth 20 oxen, and we will keep on giving you gold and bronze till your heart is softened. Until we've done this, no one can complain of your being enraged against us." Odysseus again glared at him and said, "Though you should give me all that you have in the world, both now and all that you ever shall have, I will not stay my hand till I have paid all of you in full. You must fight, or fly for your lives, and fly not a man of you shall." Their hearts sank as they heard him, but Eurymachus again spoke, saying, "My friends, this man will give us no quarter. He will stand where he is and shoot us down till he has killed every man among us. Let us then show fight, Draw your swords, and hold up the tables to shield you from his arrows. Let us have at him with a rush, to drive him from the pavement and doorway. We can then get through into the town and raise such an alarm as shall soon stay his shooting." As he spoke, he drew his keen blade of bronze, sharpened on both sides, and with a loud cry sprang towards Odysseus. But Odysseus instantly shot an arrow into his breast that caught him by the nipple and fixed itself in his liver. He dropped his sword and fell doubled up over the table. The cup and all the meats went over onto the ground as he smote the earth with his forehead in the agonies of death, and he kicked the stool with his feet until his eyes were closed in darkness. Then Amphinomus drew his sword and made straight at Odysseus to try and get him away from the door. But Telemachus was too quick for him and struck him from behind. The spear caught him between the shoulders and went right through his chest, so that he fell heavily to the ground and struck the earth with his forehead. Then Telemachus sprang away from him, leaving his spear still in the body, for he feared that if he stayed to draw it out, some one of the Achaeans might come up and hack at him with his sword or knock him down. So he set off at a run and immediately was at his father's side. Then he said, "Father, let me bring you a shield, 2 spears, and a brass helmet for your temples. I will arm myself as well, and will bring other armor for the swineherd and the stockman, for we had better be armed." "Run and fetch them," answered Odysseus. "Will my arrows hold out? When I am alone, they may get me away from the door." Telemachus did as his father said, and went off to the storeroom where the armor was kept. He chose 4 shields, 8 spears, and 4 brass helmets with horsehair plumes. He brought them with all speed to his father, and armed himself first, while the stockman and the swineherd also put on their armor and took their places near Odysseus. Meanwhile, Odysseus, as long as his arrows lasted, had been shooting the suitors one by one, and they fell thick on one another. When his arrows gave out, he set the bow to stand against the end wall of the house by the doorpost, and hung a shield 4 hides thick about his shoulders. On his comely head he set his helmet, well wrought with a crest of horsehair that nodded menacingly above it, and he grasped 2 redoubtable bronze-shod spears. So I'm assuming he looks like himself again. It hasn't said that Athena has transformed him, but it just said that on his comely head, comely means like attractive. So apparently he's hot again. I'm kind of imagining when he rips off his rags, it's like the whole disguise kind of goes away, but I don't know for sure. Now, there was a trap door on the wall. While at one end of the pavement there was an exit leading to a narrow passage, and this exit was closed by a well-made door. Odysseus told Philocteus to stand by this door and guard it, for only one person could attack it at a time. But Agelaus shouted out, "Cannot someone go up to the trap door and tell the people what is going on? Help would come at once, and we would soon make an end of this man and his shooting." "Well, this may not be, Agelaus," answered Melanthius. "The mouth of the narrow passage is dangerously near the entrance to the outer court. One brave man could prevent any number from getting in. But I know what I will do. I will bring you arms from the storeroom, for I am sure it is there that Odysseus and his son have put them." On this, the goatherd, Melanthius, went by back passages to the storeroom of Odysseus's house. There he chose 12 shields, with as many helmets and spears, Telemachus, did you not lock the door after you got your own armor? Thought that was the point of locking it away. There he chose 12 shields, with as many helmets and spears, and brought them back as fast as he could to give them to the suitors. Odysseus's heart began to fail him when he saw the suitors putting on their armor and brandishing their spears. He saw the greatness of the danger and said to Telemachus, "Some one of the women inside is helping the suitors against us, or it may be Melanthius." Telemachus answered, "The fault, father, is mine, and mine only. I left the storeroom door open, and they have kept a sharper lookout than I have. Go, Eumaeus, put the door to, and see whether it is one of the women who is doing this, or whether, as I suspect, it is Melanthius, the son of Dolius." Night, bitch. Good night, good night. Sleep well, thank you. Thank you for your help. For hanging out. Thus did they converse. Meanwhile, Melanthius was again going to the storeroom to fetch more armor, but the swineherd saw him and said to Odysseus, who was beside him, "Odysseus, noble son of Laertes, it is that scoundrel Melanthius, just as we suspected."
I know. It's the shepherd all along. We knew he was bad news.
"It is that scoundrel Melanthius, just as we suspected, who is going to the storeroom. Say, shall I kill him, if I can get the better of him, or shall I bring him here that you may take your own revenge for all the wrongs that he has done in your house?" Odysseus answered, "Telemachus and I will hold these suitors in check, no matter what they do. Go back, both of you, and bind Melanthius's hands and feet behind him. Throw him into the storeroom and make the door fast behind you. Then fasten a noose about his body and string him close up to the rafters from a high bearing post, that he may linger on in an agony." Thus did he speak, and they did even as he had said. They went to the storeroom, which they entered before Melanthius saw them, for he was busy searching for arms in the innermost part of the room. So the two took their stand on either side of the door and waited. By and by, Melanthius came out with a helmet in one hand and an old, dry-rotted shield in the other, which had been borne by Laertes when he was young, but which had been long since thrown aside, and the straps had become unsewn. On this, the two seized him, dragging him back by the hair, and threw him struggling to the ground. They bent his hands and feet well behind his back, and bound them tight with a painful bond, as Odysseus had told them. Then they fastened a noose about his body, and strung him up from a high pillar, till he was close up to the rafters. And over him did you then vaunt, O swineherd Eumaeus, saying, "Melanthius, you will pass the night on a soft bed, as you deserve. You will know very well when morning comes from the streams of Oceanus, and it is time for you to be driving in your goats for the suitors to feast on." I love that they had the swineherd hog-tie him. Excellent. There, then, they left him in very cruel bondage, and having put on their armor, they closed the door behind them and went back to take their places by the side of Odysseus, whereon the four men stood in the cloister, fierce and full of fury. Nevertheless, those who were in the body of the court were still both brave and many. Then Zeus's daughter Athena came up to them, having assumed the voice and form of Mentor. Odysseus was glad when he saw her and said, "Mentor, lend me your help, and forget not your old comrade, nor the many good turns he has done you. Besides, you are my age mate." But all the time he felt sure it was Athena, and the suitors from the other side raised an uproar when they saw her. Agelaus was the first to reproach her. "Mentor," he cried, "do not let Odysseus beguile you in deciding with him and fighting the suitors. This is what we will do when we have killed these people, father and son. We will kill you too. You shall pay for it with your head, and when we have killed you, we will take all you have, indoors or out, and bring it into Hodgepot with Odysseus's property. We will not let your sons live in your house, nor your daughters, nor shall your widow continue to live in the city of Ithaca." This made Athena still more furious, so she scolded Odysseus very angrily. But I think she's still, like, in the form of mentor. "Hi, Pirithous, hello." "Odysseus," said she, "your strength and prowess are no longer what they were when you fought for 9 long years among the Trojans about the noble Lady Helen. You killed many a man in those days, and it was through your stratagem that Priam's city was taken. How comes it that you are so lamentably less valiant now that you are on your own ground, face to face with the suitors in your own house? Come on, my good fellow, stand by my side and see how Mentor, son of Alcimus, shall fight your foes and requite your kindnesses conferred upon him." "Hi, Alice. Hello." But she would not give him full victory as yet, for she wished still further to prove his own prowess and that of his brave son. So she flew up to one of the rafters in the roof of the cloister and sat upon it in the form of a swallow. Meanwhile, Agelaus, son of Damastor, Eurynomus, Amphimedon, Demoptolemus, Pisander, and Polybus, son of Polyctor, bore the brunt of the fight upon the suitor's side, and all those who were still fighting for their lives were by far the most valiant, for the others had already fallen under the arrows of Odysseus. Agelaus shouted to them and said, "My friends, he will soon have to leave off, for Mentor has gone away after having done nothing for him but brag. They are standing at the doors unsupported. Do not aim at him all at once, but 6 of you throw your spears first, and see if you cannot cover yourselves with glory by killing him. When he has fallen, we need not be uneasy about the others." So, did they not see Athena turn into a bird? They just thought Mentor just, like, skedaddled. Then they threw their spears as he bade them, but Athena made them all of no effect. One hit the doorpost, another went against the door. The pointed shaft of another struck the wall, and as soon as they had avoided all the spears of the suitors, Odysseus said to his own men, "My friends, I should say we too had better let drive into the middle of them, or they will crown all the harm they have done us by killing us outright." They therefore aimed straight in front of them and threw their spears. Odysseus killed Demoptolemus, Telemachus, Euryades, Eumaeus, Elatus, while the stockmen killed Pisander. These all bit the dust, and as the others drew back into a corner, Odysseus and his men rushed forward and regained their spears by drawing them from the bodies of the dead. "Hi, Rick. Good to see you." The suitors now aimed a second time, but again Athena made their weapons, for the most part, without effect. One hit a bearing post of the cloister, another went against the door, while the pointed shaft of another struck the wall. Still, Amphimedon took just a piece of the top skin from off Telemachus's wrist, and Ctesippus managed to graze Eumaeus's shoulder above his shield. But the spear went on and fell to the ground. Then Odysseus and his men let drive into the crowd of suitors. Odysseus hit Eurydimus, Telemachus, Amphimedon, and Eumaeus Polybus. After this, the stockman hit Ctesippus in the breast and taunted him, saying, "Foul-mouthed son of Polytherses, do not be so foolish as to talk wickedly another time, but let heaven direct your speech, for the gods are far stronger than men. I make you a present of this advice, to repay you for the foot which you gave Odysseus when he was begging about in his own house." Thus spoke the stockman, and Odysseus struck the son of Damastor with a spear in close fight, while Telemachus hit Leocritus, son of Evenor, in the belly, and the dart went clean through him, so that he fell forward, full on his face upon the ground. Then Athena, from her seat on the rafters, held up her deadly aegis, and the hearts of the suitors quailed. They fled to the other end of the court, like a herd of cattle maddened by the gadfly in early summer, when the days are at their longest. As eagle-beaked, crook-taloned vultures from the mountains swoop down on the smaller birds that cower in flocks upon the ground, and kill them, for they cannot either fight or fly, and lookers-on enjoy the sport, even so did Odysseus and his men fall upon the suitors and smite them on every side. Oh, they made a horrible groaning as their brains were being battered in and the ground seethed with their blood. Leodes then caught the knees of Odysseus and said, "Odysseus, I beseech you, have mercy upon me and spare me. I never wronged any of the women in your house, either in word or deed, and I tried to stop the others. I saw them, but they would not listen, and now they are paying for their folly. I was their sacrificing priest. If you kill me, I shall die without having done anything to deserve it, and shall have got no thanks for all the good I did." Odysseus looked sternly at him and answered, "If you were their sacrificing priest, you must have prayed many a time that it might be long before I got home again, and that you might marry my wife and have children by her. Therefore, you shall die." With these words, he picked up the sword that Agelaus had dropped when he was being killed, and which was lying upon the ground. Then he struck Leodes on the back of his neck, so that his head fell rolling in the dust while he was yet speaking. The minstrel, Phemius, son of Terpes, he who had been forced by the suitors to sing to them, now tried to save his life. He was standing near towards the trapdoor and held his lyre in his hand. He did not know whether to fly out of the cloister and sit down by the altar of Zeus that was in the outer court, and on which both Laertes and Odysseus had offered up the thigh bones of many an ox, or whether to go straight up to Odysseus and embrace his knees. But in the end he deemed it best to embrace Odysseus's knees. So he laid his lyre on the ground between the mixing bowl and the silver-studded seat. Then going up to Odysseus, he caught hold of his knees and said, "Odysseus, I beseech you, have mercy on me and spare me. You will be sorry for it afterwards, if you kill a bard who can sing both for gods and men as I can. I make all my lays myself, and heaven visits me with every kind of inspiration. I would sing to you as though you were a god, Do not therefore be in such a hurry to cut my head off. Your own son, Telemachus, will tell you that I did not want to frequent your house and sing to the suitors after their meals. But they were too many and too strong for me, so they made me. Telemachus heard him, and at once went up to his father. Hold, he cried. This man is guiltless. Do him no hurt. And we will spare Medon, too, who was always good to me when I was a boy, unless Philocteus or Eumaeus has already killed him, or he's fallen in your way when you were raging about the court. Medon caught these words of Telemachus, for he was crouching under a seat beneath which he had hidden by covering himself up with a freshly flayed heifer's hide. So he threw off the hide, went up to Telemachus, and laid hold of his knees. Here I am, my dear sir, said he. Stay your hand, therefore, and tell your father, or he will kill me in his rage against the suitors for having wasted his substance, and been so foolishly disrespectful to yourself. Odysseus smiled at him and answered, Fear not. Telemachus has saved your life, that you may know in future, and tell other people, how greatly better good deeds prosper than evil ones. Go, therefore, outside the cloisters into the outer court, and be out of the way of the slaughter, you and the bard, while I finish my work here inside. The pair went into the outer court as fast as they could, and sat down by Zeus's great altar, looking fearfully round and still expecting that they would be killed. Then Odysseus searched the whole court carefully over to see if anyone had managed to hide himself and was still living, but he found them all lying in the dust and weltering in their blood. They were like fishes which fishermen have netted out of the sea and thrown upon the beach to lie gasping for water till the heat of the sun makes an end of them. Even so were the suitors lying all huddled up, one against the other. Then Odysseus said to Telemachus, Call nurse Euryclea. I have something to say to her. Telemachus went and knocked at the door of the women's room. Make haste, said he, you old woman, who have been set over all the other women in the house. Come outside. My father wishes to speak to you. When Euryclea heard this, she unfastened the door of the women's room and came out, following Telemachus. She found Odysseus among the corpses, bespattered with blood and filth, like a lion that has just been devouring an ox, and his breast and both his cheeks are all bloody, so that he is a fearful sight. Even so was Odysseus besmirched from head to foot with gore. When she saw all the corpses and such a quantity of blood, she was beginning to cry out for joy, for she saw that a great deed had been done. But Odysseus checked her. Old woman, said he, rejoice in silence. Restrain yourself, and do not make any noise about it. It is an unholy thing to vaunt over dead men. Heaven's doom and their own evil deeds have brought these men to destruction, for they respected no man in the whole world, neither rich nor poor, who came near them, and they have come to a bad end as a punishment for their wickedness and folly. Now, however, tell me which of the women in the house have misconducted themselves, and who are innocent. Oh, damn. Okay. We're not done yet. I will tell you the truth, my son, answered Euryclea. There are 50 women in the house whom we teach to do things such as carding wool and all kinds of household work. Of these, 12 in all have misbehaved,
and have been wanting in respect to me and also to Penelope. Or they showed no disrespect to Telemachus, for he is only lately grown, and his mother never permitted him to give orders to the female servants. But let me go upstairs and tell your wife all that has happened, for some god has been sending her to sleep.
Do not wake her yet, answered Odysseus, but tell the women who have misconducted themselves to come to me. Euryclea left the cloister to tell the women and make them come to Odysseus. In the meantime, he called Telemachus, the stockman, and the swineherd. Begin, said he, to remove the dead, and make the women help you. Then get sponges and clean water to swill down the tables and seats. When you have thoroughly cleansed the whole cloisters, take the women into the space between the domed room and the wall of the outer court, and run them through with your swords till they are quite dead, and have forgotten all about love and the way in which they used to lie in secret with the suitors. On this, the women came down in a body, weeping and wailing bitterly. First, they carried the dead bodies out and propped them up against one another in the gatehouse. Odysseus ordered them about and made them do their work quickly, so they had to carry the bodies out. When they had done this, they cleaned all the tables and seats with sponges and water, while Telemachus and the two others shoveled up the blood and dirt from the ground, and the women carried it all away and put it out of doors. Then, when they had made the whole place quite clean and orderly, they took the women out and hemmed them in the narrow space between the wall of the domed room and that of the yard, so that they could not get away. And Telemachus said to the other two, I shall not let these women die a clean death, for they were insolent to me and my mother, and used to sleep with the suitors. So saying, he made a ship's cable fast to one of the bearing posts that supported the roof of the domed room, and secured it all around the building at a good height, lest any of the women's feet should touch the ground. And, as thrushes or doves beat against a net that has been set for them in a thicket, just as they were getting to their nest, and a terrible fate awaits them, even so did the women have to put their heads in nooses, one after the other, and die most miserably. Their feet moved convulsively for a while, but not for very long. As for Melanthius, I know. It's okay. The pigs are safe. As for Melanthius, they took him through the cloister into the inner court. There, they cut off his nose and ears. They drew out his vitals and gave them to the dogs raw. And then, in their fury, they cut off his hands and his feet. When they had done this, they washed their hands and feet and went back into the house, for all was now over. And Odysseus said to the dear old nurse Euryclea, Bring me sulphur, which cleanses all pollution, and fetch fire also that I may burn it and purify the cloisters. Go, moreover, and tell Penelope to come here with her attendants, and also all the maidservants that are in the house. Oh, Artax, thank you for the biddies. Yeah, that's a brutal death.
All that you have said is true, answered Euryclea, but let me first bring you some clean clothes, a shirt and a cloak. Do not keep these rags on your back any longer. It is not right.
First, "Light me a fire," replied Odysseus. She brought the fire and sulphur, as he had bidden her, and Odysseus thoroughly purified the cloisters, and both the inner and outer courts. Then she went inside to call the women and tell them what had happened, whereon they came from their apartment with torches in their hands, and pressed round Odysseus to embrace him, kissing his head and shoulders and taking hold of his hands. It made him feel as if he should like to weep, for he remembered every one of them. End of chapter. Oh man. So there's 2 chapters left. And I guess in the next chapter, he's gonna properly reunite with Penelope. Damn, that was a slaughter. More? I don't know if I can finish it tonight, though. And then I'd rather have 2 chapters left for next stream rather than just 1. You know, if there was only 1 chapter left, I would be more easily swayed into it, but I'm starting to feel it in my throat a little bit. But we will finish this on Thursday. And then I mentioned this earlier in the stream, but we're gonna have a Saturday Valentine stream just over on Twitch. We're not gonna be starting a new book that day. We'll start our next new book, I guess on Tuesday. Hi Moloch, hello. Oh, my pleasure, Nonanon and Ortax. Yeah. Well, you have to admire at least that, like, he cleaned up the mess and purified the place before his wife came down. She's not coming down to pools of blood and gore. That's very thoughtful of him. Oh, man. Holy moly. Yep, that was a crazy story. Okay. So yes, oh, Deep Fried Deals, thank you for the follow. We are not ending stream altogether, however, I will be wrapping up on YouTube because we are ending the reading portion of the stream. Like I said, we have 2 chapters left, and we will finish that on Thursday night. So yes, I will next be live here on this YouTube channel on Thursday night. You strive to be that thoughtful in your relationship? Nice. Nice. We should all aspire to that. Absolutely. If anyone over in the YouTube chat wants to come and hang out for the rest of stream, there is the link to Twitch. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you again to anyone who is watching from the YouTube side, even if you've just got it open in a lurk while you're chatting on Twitch. Not many do, but the few of you who do go over there, I really, really appreciate it. It is helping me chip away at the watch hours that I need to hit, so thank you very, very much. And yeah, I'll be back on Thursday. Okay. Alright, we will keep going on Twitch, but bye YouTube.